Hello and welcome to In Depth, the show that gives you a complete and comprehensive view on every issue and subject that impacts us. The World Sustainable Development Summit 2018 concluded in the national capital on the 18th of February and endorsed Amravati as the world's most sustainable capital. More than 200 delegates from around the world took part in the summit that included policymakers, think tanks, researchers, diplomats and corporates. In our show today, we'll take a look at the larger picture about the challenges that are facing our policymakers and see how the world can progress towards a sustainable future. Inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the World Sustainable Development Summit 2018 brought together global leaders and thinkers in the fields of sustainable development, energy and environment sectors on a common platform. Organized by the Energy and Resources Institute or TERI, the three-day summit saw participation from over 40 countries to find answers to one question: what is sustainable development?
Increasing population, expanding cities, disappearing forests, and shrinking natural habitats. The last few decades have seen the emergence of a debate over development that is also sustainable. On the one hand, there are those who argue that urbanization, concrete buildings, and expanding roadways is the parameter for development, but on the other is the group that argues that this expansion is akin to destroying the world. Sustainable development is the balancing act between these two thought processes.
सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट के हम मतलब जो बताते हैं वो एक त्रिकोण के 3 एंड्स हैं। पहला, आपकी और हमारी और सभी भारतीयों की, दुनिया में सभी लोगों की जो लाइवलीहुड्स और इनकम्स हैं वो बढ़ें, पहली चीज़। दूसरी चीज़, इसको बढ़ने में जितनी आपको आवश्यकता है इनपुट्स की, चाहे वो पानी हो, चाहे वो बिजली हो, एग्रीकल्चर कर रहे हैं तो उसमें फर्टिलाइज़र हो, तो उसकी कम से कम खपत हो और प्रोडक्शन ज़्यादा हो, यानी कि एफिशिएंसी बढ़े। और तीसरा कि इस प्रोसेस में जो वेस्ट प्रोड्यूस हो वो कम से कम हो।
Sustainable development essentially means that the needs of the future generations are not sacrificed at the altar of mankind's current ones. It includes removing poverty, simplifying daily chores, and improving the quality of life, keeping in mind that we use only as many natural resources as can be replenished. The usage of natural resources needs to be moderated to save them for our future generations. It means that we take a breather and evaluate whether our race towards industrialization is destroying the finer nuances of life.
जितना ज़्यादा हम वेस्ट किसी और चीज़ के लिए खर्च कर सकते हैं वो करें। तो ये 3 चीज़ें, इनकम्स बढ़ी, इनपुट रिसोर्स एफिशिएंसी बढ़ी और वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट कम हुई, इसको हम सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट मानते हैं।
The modern concept of development began with the invention of the engine in the 17th century. The Industrial Revolution a century later started depleting natural resources at a faster pace than could be replenished. By the 20th century, industrialization was seen as the only path towards economic growth and removing poverty. This led to an irreversible change in our environment. The realization that this was a path towards destruction of our planet has come only now.
As you know, we are at 1.1 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level already. We have, through the momentum of warming, another 0.2 or 0.3 of 1 degree C already built in to the emissions. Because remember, the oceans have not yet warmed to the level of greenhouse gases. We still have a net energy imbalance. We're still warming the planet. It takes a long time to heat up the world's bathtub.
Sustainable development is now a major pillar of international cooperation. The United Nations has spelled out goals in the area. To fulfill these, a global framework is also being developed. The realization might have come late, But there is still time to reverse the impact that we have had on our planet. Not only governments but the citizens of this world will also have to realize that the Earth's resources belong to everyone, even those who are not born yet. And that will be the core value that we need to function with. With inputs from Leena Sharma, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the world today is paying a heavy environmental price for its rapid development. The rate at which natural resources are being degraded is alarming. Climate change has impacted geological, biological and ecological systems, leading to large-scale environmental hazards, not just for humans, but all living beings on the planet. How adverse has this impact been? Let's find out in this report.
A sick, goose-beaked whale was found dead on the west coast of Norway earlier in February. Scientists found more than 30 plastic bags inside the whale's stomach, which had created a plug, stopping the digestive process, hence leading to its death. The incident is a sad reminder of the damage we humans have caused to our environment.
In Norway, we have lived of the fish, the rich deposits of fish along the coast through generations. Fisheries is still the second biggest export industry. Hundreds of thousands of Norwegians work in ocean-based industries. Combined, these industries account for 70% of our export revenue. The ocean and the use of its resources are a part of the Norwegian way of life, our culture and our heritage. This may all be in jeopardy.
Zoologists who studied the whale said the plastic bags found in its stomach had labels in Danish and English, indicating towards bigger countries who are at fault in degrading the environment, but smaller countries are paying its price. Rapid urbanization and industrial development have suffocated water bodies everywhere. The ocean is running out of oxygen at a rapid speed, choking to death much of marine life. Scientists say the amount of water in the open ocean without oxygen has quadrupled in 50 years. They warn that these ocean dead zones will continue to increase unless we curb the factors driving global climate change. The increasing number of devastating hurricanes is also being attributed to climate change.
It is only a fraction of 1 degree C more that will be most likely consistent with a mass destruction of the West Antarctic ice sheet and Greenland ice sheet. And the reason the scientists know that is that the last time Earth was a little bit warmer than now, less than 1 degree, was the previous interglacial period called the Eemian, 115,000 years ago, and the sea level, without doubt, was 8 meters higher than now, which really annoys me because I live on a small island economy called Manhattan, and it would be underwater, and I don't have a boat.
Who is to blame? This is one question that has divided the world. The developed countries stand on one side, pinning the blame on China and India due to their large population. On the other side are the developing and poor countries who believe that much of the environmental damage has been caused by a handful of developed countries. China and India are believed to be the largest emitters of carbon dioxide. The data, however, shows a different picture. According to a list released in 2015 by the European Commission and Netherlands Environmental Assessment Agency, China stands on top with 29.51% carbon dioxide emissions, followed by the United States of America that emits 14.34% carbon dioxide. The European Union stands at the third place with 9.62% CO2 emissions, followed by India on the fourth place, emitting 6.81% CO2 in the environment. Russia and Japan emit 4.88% and 3.47% CO2 respectively. Canada emits about 1.54%, while Saudi Arabia accounts for 1.40% carbon dioxide emissions. If we look at the per capita emission of carbon dioxide, it's 7.7 in China, 16.1 in the United States of America, and 6.9 in the European Union. In India, the country with the second largest population, the per capita CO2 emission is only 1.9. In Canada, it is 19, while in Saudi Arabia, it is 16. The top 10 largest carbon dioxide emitter countries account for 67.6% of the world total.
It's a common problem, but the responsibilities are differentiated. They're more for the developed countries and less for the developing countries. But having said that, what we have also seen over the years is that this moral argument has not held much ground.
The 2015 Paris Agreement gave some hope in the fight against climate change. But with the United States deciding to pull out of the accord, it will be difficult for the world to reach the goals that it set for itself of keeping global temperature rise well under 2 degrees Celsius. The US contributes about 15% of global emissions of carbon. It is also a significant source of finance and technology for developing countries in their efforts to fight rising temperatures. With the US pulling out, there is need for the other developed countries to not just forge ahead with the agreement, but also redouble their efforts towards helping poor countries meet targets. With inputs from Amit Srivastav, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, the idea of sustainable development arose with the realization that in our pursuit of development, we've done an extensive damage to our environment. Nations and organizations dwelled on various roadmaps for sustainable development and kept targets that are to be achieved for the same. But we are still way off from achieving many of these targets. The United Nations in 2016 set the Sustainable Development Goals, targets that are to be accomplished by 2030. These goals seek to build on the Millennium Development Goals that were set in the year 2000 and complete what these did not achieve.
Despite rapid urbanization and industrialization, the fruits of development have not been able to reach all. Hence, initiatives have been taken at both national and international level in this regard. The United Nations took a lead and its 193 members gathered on 25th of September 2015 in New York to adopt the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development.
हमने मिलेनियम डेवलपमेंट गोल्स किए थे, वो काफ़ी ये ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट की बेसिस पे किए थे कि मैटरनल मोर्टेलिटी, बच्चों की इन्फेंट मोर्टेलिटी, ऐसे कुछ गोल्स किए थे. अभी 2030 के गोल्स जो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स है, वो सिर्फ ये ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट मीन्स मानसिक विकास और पर्यावरण संरक्षण को साथ ले आने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. इसलिए उसे सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल, सतत विकास के लक्ष्य कहे गए हैं.
The 2030 Agenda also says that sustainable development and tackling climate change goes hand in hand. It says to ensure people don't go hungry, there is a need to protect the food systems. To ensure sustainable cities, there is the need to protect them from storms or floods. Thus, action on climate change is necessary for sustainable development. As part of Sustainable Development Agenda, countries adopted a set of goals to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure prosperity for all. Each goal has specific targets to be achieved over the next 15 years. These are no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being for people, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure growth, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, that is using eco-friendly production methods and reducing the amount of waste, action on climate change, conserving our oceans, seas and marine resources, protect territorial ecosystems, forests, ensuring peace, justice and strong institutions, partnerships for achieving goals. However, governments need to work proactively in order to achieve these targets.
ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट अप्रोच जो है वो 80 के दशक के अंत में बनी और उसमें ये माना गया कि मानवीय विकास के लिए कितनी आपकी आमदनी होती है, उसके साथ साथ शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य के सूचांक भी आवश्यक हैं। तो 3 श्रेणियां जोड़ी गई, शिक्षा, स्वास्थ्य और आमदनी। नया जो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय समझौता है जिसको कि हम सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स कहते हैं, एजेंडा 2030 तक जिसे हासिल करने के लिए सभी देशों ने कमिटमेंट दिया है, कटिबद्धता दी है, इंडिया ने भी दिया है, उसमें हम इन 3 मुद्दों के अलावा भी देख रहे हैं।
The Sustainable Development Goals replace the Millennium Development Goals, which in September 2000 rallied the world around a common 15-year agenda to tackle the indignity of poverty. However, the Sustainable Development Goals go far beyond the Millennium Development Goals in scope. Alongside continuing development priorities such as poverty eradication, health, education, and food security and nutrition, it sets out a wide range of economic, social, and environmental objectives. It also defines their means of implementation. UNDP says that by giving targets for sustainable development, there will be added pressure on governments to work on them. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, India has long been trying to move to the path of sustainable development. Therefore, it is no surprise that the country's national development goals are mirrored in the Sustainable Development Goals. Although the country also has to face big challenges to protect the environment along with maintaining the growth momentum.
India, one of the fastest growing present-day economies in the world. The past years have, however, seen India's high growth rate holding steady in the face of some serious challenges in all 3 dimensions of sustainable development: economic, social, and environmental. The biggest challenges before India today are unemployment, illiteracy, poverty, and maintaining the pace of economic growth, health, and urbanization. On top of these, India is also facing the brunt of climate change. Aggravated by increasing urbanization and industrialization, rising pollution levels are affecting the agriculture sector in a big way.
By till now is that if we use more inputs, we get more outputs. And therefore, the only way to satisfy the lifestyle aspirations of people is to keep on pulling out more and more resources from the ground, from the air, from the water. That clearly is not possible if the numbers don't add up.
The concept of sustainable development is not new to India. Blessed with abundant natural resources, India has the world's largest alluvial plains, some of the biggest deltas, and massive tracts of agricultural land. But in the modern age, despite the many advancements, human beings are fast laying these natural resources to waste. Rivers, once regarded as a lifeline for crores of people, are becoming some of the world's most polluted water bodies in India. The main cause for this is the discharge of industrial effluents and human waste, all due to increasing population density. Air quality is worsening in the country, even as cultivable land is shrinking steadily.
आज केवल 6% घर हैं भारत में जिनके यहाँ एयर कंडीशनर्स हैं, लेकिन सिर्फ इन 6% घरों के मारे जिनमें रात में जब गर्मी होती है और बरसात होती है, उमस होती है, उस वक्त हम लोग सोने से पहले एयर कंडीशनर ऑन करते हैं। इसके मारे जो देश में सबसे ज़्यादा बिजली की आवश्यकता होती है वो रात में 11 बजे होने लगी है। पहले दोपहर में 3 बजे होती थी, लेकिन अब रात में 11 बजे होगी, सिर्फ जब 6% लोगों के घर में एयर कंडीशनर है। अब आप ही सोचिए, जिस वक्त वो 10 होगा, 20 होगा, 50 होगा, मेरा तो गोल ये है कि 100% लोगों के घर में एयर कंडीशनर होना चाहिए। तो हम लोगों का जो बिजली का खपत का पैटर्न है,
Poverty and environmental degradation are linked in a vicious circle in which people cannot afford to take proper care of the environment. The main cause of many environmental problems is the persistence of economic, agricultural, energy, industrial, and other sectoral policies that have largely been neglected and failed to avoid harmful impacts on the environment and natural resource base. Rapidly rising population is negating all the gains of being the fastest developing economies for India. 1 in 3 of the world's poorest people are living in India. Sustainable development remains the only weapon in the country's arsenal to combat poverty. India has played an important role in shaping the Sustainable Development Goals. Therefore, it is no surprise that the country's national development goals are mirrored in the SDGs. The government is also running several schemes to achieve Sustainable Development Goals. With inputs from Leena Sharma, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, the population of any country is its biggest asset and resource. It's the people who build nations and grow and manufacture commodities that are essential for life. It's also population that produces and consumes. However, when populations go beyond the limits of sustenance, it starts posing many challenges that are detrimental to the growth of the nation. We're leaving you with this report. A normal day in any Indian metropolis. Heavy traffic on the roads, thousands of people on the move, population bursting at the seams. Fast-tracking India on the road to acquiring the most populated tag. The current population of the world is 760 crores. It will be 900 crores by 2050. The 2011 census puts India's population at 121 crores, just behind China, which it will overtake by 2050.
Be a global vision, which is that we have wonderful technology, we need to direct it towards sustainable land use, towards sustainable energy systems, towards low-cost, high-quality rural education, towards delivery of healthcare services, new diagnostic tests, new smart machines that mean we don't even need doctors in places because the diagnostics, the imaging, and other systems can be used.
To draw global attention to the challenges of a population, in 1989, the United Nations Development Programme's Governing Council proposed 11th of July as World Population Day. Today, growing populations are posing challenges all over the world. To fulfill the fast multiplying needs of the population, living spaces and housing, forests are being chopped off to make settlements. Trees are cut for fuel and furniture. Natural resources are being exploited at a fast pace. Agricultural land is losing its fertility due to excessive use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides.
Land use is an incredibly complicated topic. Why? Because it implicates the carbon balance, biodiversity, food production, water use, human settlements, human livelihoods. And it's very hard to keep all of the different concerns in mind. So agronomists just want to grow food. They don't care about biodiversity.
There is only one way to conserve the depleting natural resources, and that is to control population growth. Rising population is also the main reason for growing unemployment and poverty. The Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation calculates that over 6.5 crore people are living in slums in the country. These are people who lack even the basic facilities. India has taken many steps to control the rise in population. It is the first country in the world to start a family planning program in 1950. Several slogans were coined to spread awareness, like small family, happy family, etc. But they haven't, however, had the desired impact. Threats posed by population growth make it all the more necessary for the government and policymakers to formulate plans that harmonize demands of a rising population and the growth rate of the country. A greater need is implementation of population control programs, much better for a bigger impact. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.